Have you ever felt like you were on an emotional roller coaster you couldn't get off? One moment you're feeling calm and centered, and the next, a single comment or a small setback sends you spiraling. It's a feeling we all know, that sense of being powerless, of our emotions dictating our day, our decisions, and even our destiny. But what if I told you that you hold the key to stopping that ride? What if you could learn to navigate the ups and downs with grace, clarity, and unshakable strength? Want emotional control that can't be shaken? This isn't about suppressing what you feel or becoming a robot devoid of emotion. It's the opposite. It's about understanding your emotions so deeply that they become your allies, not your enemies. It's about transforming that raw, chaotic energy into focused, intentional power. Imagine being able to face any challenge, a difficult conversation, a stressful deadline, a personal disappointment, with a calm mind and a steady heart. This is the foundation of true resilience and leadership, not just in your career, but in every aspect of your life. Today, we're going to embark on that journey together. We're going to move beyond theory and dive into practical, actionable steps you can start using immediately. These aren't complex psychological theories, but simple, proven techniques that bring you back to your center and put you firmly in the driver's seat of your own mind. Here are 10 simple ways to master your emotions, like a pro. Let's begin this transformation right here, right now. When you feel that wave of anxiety begin to rise, that tightness in your chest, that racing in your mind, it's because your focus has collapsed inward. Your mind is spiraling, caught in a loop of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. The first step to breaking free is to ground yourself in the present moment, to pull your awareness back into the physical world. This is where the 3-3-3 trick becomes your anchor. It's incredibly simple, but profoundly effective. Stop what you're doing, take a gentle breath, and consciously name 3 things you can see around you. Don't just glance, really see them. Notice the texture of your desk, the color of a book on the shelf, the way light hits the window. Next, shift your awareness to your sense of hearing. Listen intently and identify 3 distinct sounds. It could be the hum of your computer, the distant sound of traffic, or the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. This process forces your brain to switch from abstract worry to concrete sensory input. Finally, move 3 parts of your body. Wiggle your toes, roll your shoulders, or stretch your fingers. This physical action reconnects your mind to your body, reminding you that you are here, now, safe in this present moment. Anxiety lives in the future, but this simple practice pulls you back to the solid ground of the now, instantly disrupting the pattern of panic and giving you a foothold to regain control. We often use vague umbrella terms to describe our feelings. We say, I'm upset, I'm stressed, or I feel bad. But these labels are too broad. They don't give us any real information. It's like trying to navigate a city with a map that only shows the continent. To truly tame an emotion, you must first name it with precision. This requires a moment of honest self-reflection. Are you just upset? Or are you feeling disappointed because your expectations weren't met? Are you feeling frustrated because you're facing an obstacle you can't seem to overcome? Or perhaps you're feeling envious, or lonely, or embarrassed. Getting specific is a superpower. When you can articulate, I am feeling frustrated and a little overwhelmed right now, you do 2 things. First, you create distance between yourself and the feeling. You are the observer of the frustration, not the frustration itself. Second, you give your logical brain a problem to solve. Frustration has different solutions than disappointment. By accurately diagnosing the feeling, you can begin to understand its root cause and address it effectively. Don't be afraid to get granular. The more precise your language, the clearer your path forward becomes, and the less power the raw, unnamed emotion holds over you. One of the greatest sources of our emotional turmoil is the fight against reality. We spend so much energy wishing things were different, getting angry that a situation isn't fair, or lamenting a past mistake. Radical acceptance is not about surrender or condoning bad behavior. It's not about giving up. It is the powerful, conscious decision to stop fighting what is. It is looking at a situation without judgment or resistance and acknowledging, this is the reality I am facing right now. You can't change a past event. You can't control another person's actions. You can't wish away a difficult circumstance. The fight is what drains you. Acceptance is where your power begins. Think of it like being caught in a current. If you fight against it, you'll exhaust yourself and drown. If you accept the current, you can then start to navigate. to steer yourself toward the shore. Acknowledging reality, this project failed, this relationship ended, I made a mistake, is the necessary first step before you can ask the empowering question, now what? You cannot change what you refuse to face. Acceptance isn't passive, it's the ultimate strategic move. It frees up all the energy you were wasting on resistance and allows you to channel it into creating a new, better reality from where you actually are. You know, our emotional reactions often feel like they come out of nowhere, but honestly, they rarely do. They're usually ignited by specific triggers, like people, places, topics of conversation, or even certain times of day that consistently set off a negative emotional response. Becoming a master of your emotions really means becoming a detective of your own inner world. And the first step, it's awareness. Start paying close attention. When you feel a sudden spike of anger, anxiety, or sadness, just pause and ask yourself, what just happened? Who was I with? What were we talking about? What was I thinking about right before this feeling hit? I encourage you to keep a small journal or even a note on your phone for a week. Just track these moments. Note the trigger and the resulting emotion. You're not judging yourself, you're simply gathering data. At the end of the week, look for patterns. Do you always feel drained after talking to a certain person? Or maybe you feel anxious every time you check your work email after dinner. Seeing these patterns laid out in front of you is honestly so illuminating. Once you know your triggers, they lose their power to ambush you. You can then make conscious choices to avoid the trigger, to prepare for it, or to develop a new, more constructive response to it. Remember, you can't rise above what you don't understand. So listen carefully to the voice inside your head for a day. What is its tone? Is it encouraging or is it critical? For so many of us, our internal narrator is, like, honestly our harshest critic. After a mistake, it says, "You're so stupid, how could you do that?" When we face a challenge, it whispers, "You're not good enough, you're going to fail." We would never dream of speaking to a friend, a child, or even a stranger with such cruelty. Yet we allow this voice to run rampant in our own minds, fueling feelings of shame, anxiety, and self-doubt. True emotional mastery begins with cultivating self-compassion. Imagine your best friend came to you with the exact problem you're facing. What would you say to them? You would likely be kind, understanding, and encouraging. You would acknowledge their pain, validate their feelings, and gently guide them toward a solution. You would say, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes," or "You are strong enough to handle this." This is the voice you must learn to cultivate for yourself. It's not about letting yourself off the hook. It's about leading yourself with kindness. Be gentle when you're hurting, be firm when you need motivation, but always, always be kind. Your self-talk shapes your emotional reality. Change your inner conversation, and you will change your life. Sometimes, you just fall into a funk. You feel sluggish, unmotivated, or irritable for no apparent reason. In these moments, trying to think your way out of it can be incredibly difficult. The mind just gets stuck in a low-energy loop. The fastest way to break that loop isn't through thought, but through physiology. As the great Tony Robbins says, motion creates emotion. Your physical state is totally linked to your emotional state. If you want to change how you feel, you must first change how you're using your body. This is a powerful and immediate tool you can use anywhere, anytime. Here's a simple 60-second reset. The moment you notice your mood dipping, stand up. If you're sitting, just the act of getting on your feet changes your perspective and blood flow. Now, move your body. Do a few quick stretches, reach for the sky, roll your shoulders back, shake out your arms and legs. Get the energy moving. Then, do something that seems almost silly but is scientifically proven to work. Put a big, genuine smile on your face, even if you have to force it at first. The physical act of smiling sends signals to your brain that can help elevate your mood. Motion, posture, and facial expression are a powerful triad that can shift your emotional energy in less than a minute. So, this is a concept made famous by Dr. Dan Siegel, and honestly, it's a really powerful extension of labeling your emotions. But instead of just identifying the feeling internally, you take the courageous step of speaking it out loud. There is just immense power in verbalizing your emotional state. You know, emotions thrive in the darkness and confusion of our minds. They grow larger and more intimidating when they remain unspoken, swirling around as a nameless, formless dread or anger. When you give them a voice, you bring them out into the light where you can actually see them for what they are. Saying, "I am feeling overwhelmed by this deadline," or "I am feeling hurt by that comment," does something kind of magical. It removes the confusion. The act of forming the words forces your brain to clarify the feeling, to define its edges. It externalizes the problem, moving it from something that is you to something you are experiencing. It's no longer a silent monster hiding in the closet. It's a known quantity sitting in the room with you. And now you can decide what to do with it. Great leaders are not afraid to be vulnerable and state their emotional truth, not as a complaint, but just as a point of fact. Exposing the emotion is the first step to leading it. Resentment is honestly one of the heaviest and most useless emotional burdens we can choose to carry. It's like, drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick, holding onto a grudge, replaying a past hurt over and over, nurturing anger towards someone who wronged you. It doesn't punish them. It punishes you. It keeps you tethered to a moment of pain, forcing you to relive it again and again, while the other person has probably already moved on with their life. Letting go, through forgiveness, is often misunderstood as weakness or as condoning the other person's behavior. But really, it is neither. Forgiveness is actually an act of profound self-love and liberation. It's not about saying what you did was okay. It's about saying, I am no longer willing to let what you did control my emotional well-being. It's the moment you decide to put down the heavy rock you've been carrying up the mountain. It's about cutting the energetic cord that ties you to that past pain. Letting go doesn't mean the other person was right, and it doesn't even require their apology or participation. It is a decision you make for yourself, by yourself. It means you are choosing to be free. You are choosing peace over pain, and your future over your past. From a young age, we're all conditioned to seek approval. We want our parents, teachers, and friends to like us and approve of our choices. This is a natural human instinct, but as we grow, if we don't learn to manage it, it can become a cage. When your sense of self-worth is tied to the ever-changing opinions of others, you're living in a constant state of emotional instability. One compliment can make you soar, and one criticism can make you crash. You become a reflection of what others think, rather than a source of your own light. You start making decisions to please others instead of fulfilling your own purpose. Remember this fundamental truth. Other people's opinions of you are not your reality. Their opinions are a reflection of their own experiences, their own biases, their own values, and their own limitations. Their opinions don't pay your bills. Their opinions don't build your dreams. Their opinions will not be there in the quiet moments when you have to live with the choices you've made. You must learn to anchor yourself in your own values, your own integrity, and your own mission. Listen to feedback. Be open to constructive criticism, but never let your core identity be defined by the applause or the judgment of the crowd. Stay rooted in who you are, not in how you are seen. In any given situation, there is a space between the stimulus, what happens to you, and your action. In that space lies your power. A reaction is what happens when that space collapses. It's instinctual, immediate, and often driven by the most primitive emotional part of your brain. Like someone cuts you off in traffic and you instantly lay on the horn and yell. You get a critical email and you immediately fire back a defensive reply. A reaction is born from panic, from a feeling of being attacked. It gives away your power because you are letting the external event dictate your behavior completely. A response, on the other hand, is born from that space. It's conscious, intentional, and considered. To respond, you must first create that space by taking a beat. Take one deep breath before you speak or act. This simple pause is honestly a circuit breaker for the emotional hijack. It allows your rational mind to catch up. It gives you a moment to ask, what is the most constructive way to handle this? What outcome do I want? What aligns with my values? Responding is about choosing your behavior based on wisdom, not wounds. It's the difference between being a thermostat, which sets the temperature, and a thermometer, which just reflects it. Don't just react to the world, choose how you will respond to it. We've walked through 10 powerful, practical strategies today, from grounding yourself with the 3-3-3 trick to creating space with a single breath. These aren't just neat ideas to think about. They are tools for you to build a life of emotional strength and integrity. Think of each one as a muscle. The first time you use it, it might feel awkward or difficult, But with consistent practice, it becomes stronger, more natural, and eventually a part of who you are. Don't try to be perfect overnight. Pick one or two of these that resonate most deeply with you and start there. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Remember that your emotions are energy. They are not good or bad, they are simply information. They are signals from your inner world calling for your attention. For too long, you may have let that energy toss you around like a ship in a storm. But now, you have the tools to become the captain of that ship. You have the compass and the rudder to navigate any weather, to steer yourself toward the harbor of your choosing. This is the journey from being a passenger in your own life to becoming the pilot. This is the essence of personal leadership. It's the foundation upon which great careers, deep relationships, and meaningful lives are built. Master these 10, and emotions will stop controlling you. You'll control them. That's how leaders are made. Your journey to emotional mastery starts not tomorrow, but today, with the very next feeling that arises. Choose to respond, choose to understand, and choose to lead. Thank you for sharing this time with me.